Could you imagine trying to explain whatever the hell Week 13 was to somebody that had not seen football in 3 or 4 weeks? Baker Mayfield looked like Tom Brady yesterday. You know what that means, right? That means that he'll look better on his way to a first-round loss in the playoffs. Oh, but you're a Titans fan. You're damn right. We won't win shit either because the Titans forgot how to defense. They actually didn't forget. They didn't know how to do it all year. The Jets almost won. Well, something's never changed. They still suck. The Giants, ready for this? Not only did the Giants win, which has become more probable because the team's starting to win games, they beat the Seahawks without Daniel Jones. Don't be surprised if Washington beats Pittsburgh tomorrow because it's that kind of week because I said so. NFL Week 13 full review. Go nowhere else. I mean, I really don't know where you're supposed to start. And I know that I say this every single time I make a video. Oh, I never know where to start because you don't. Because when you watch a week like this and you see what actually had happened, you sit and you think, what the hell actually just happened? The Patriots put up 45 points, but Cam Newton didn't even touch 75 yards. The Titans got smacked by Cleveland to come back short. Baker Mayfield looked like Tom Brady. Okay? The Jets almost won, but that doesn't surprise anybody because we know that if the Jets have a chance to win the game, they'll do everything they can to not win the game. And we still have 3 games left this week that, honest to God, I wouldn't be surprised to see Washington beat Pittsburgh because it's that kind of week. It's that kind of week. We haven't been as active on YouTube. Different things going on in and around my life. But I'm going to make a promise to get more active on YouTube and do more things about wrestling. Today is football. Tomorrow will be, if there's a video, or Wednesday will be a video at some point, will be wrestling. Because a lot of my base is people that watch wrestling. I didn't see all of War Games last night. I saw the main event. I will finish watching that today. From what I'm told, it was fantastic. The main event was fantastic. Pat McAfee is brilliant. I mean, for a guy that doesn't wrestle, he's pretty damn amazing. Obviously, we expect that. Just knowing the fact that the games got delayed, we know we had the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game that had taken place later in the week, which was on Wednesday afternoon, with Pittsburgh getting the win. Not by that much of a margin. RG3 didn't look too bad against Pittsburgh. And it looks like RG3, from what I know, or I'm told, is going to start Tuesday night against Dallas. That's what I'm told. I don't know that for sure yet. But let's talk about these games. Okay, the first game is the game that frustrates me. Okay, I'm a fan to the core of the Titans. I've been for over a decade, many years. Yesterday was a very frustrating game. Full frustrating to the point where when it became halftime, I lost the interest in watching the game. The Browns come into Tennessee to take on the Titans. Both teams are 8-3, okay? The Titans themselves have had a very good season. They've been fantastic on offense. Derrick Henry has been unbelievable. Tannehill's been great. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown have been great. The defense is a problem. There is no pass rush. You cannot get to the quarterback. The pass defense has gotten a little bit better, but it's still not good. The run defense is not good. I mean, the defense is so bad that we are winning our games by 3 points and still scoring 40. Cleveland and Titans. Cleveland was literally at halftime. Some fans may have left. It was 38-7 Cleveland at half. Now, bravo for the Titans because we know that they're a second half team and they almost made this comeback. Baker Mayfield looked fantastic. 334 yards and 4 touchdowns. Chubb, 80 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And Higgins had 6 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. Tannehill himself, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Henry, only 60 yards on the ground. Kind of a quiet game for Derrick Henry. Corey Davis, on the other hand, it's very hard to choose, man. The duo of Davis and Brown is great, and it's really coming along. 11 receptions, 182 yards, and a touchdown. Cleveland beats Tennessee 41-35, but one of the things to make a mention of is the fact that the Titans were down 38-7 at half, and they almost won this game. If the Titans would have come back and won this game, it was the comeback of the year, and it has to be. Now, we talk about that game that Denver had where they came back. I believe it was against LA Chargers. It's the defense, man. You have to look at it. The Titans put up 35, and they lost by 7 because of 41 points. Clowney had knee surgery. He's out for the year. The Clowney experiment was a failure, okay? It looked great in the beginning of the season, couple of pressures. It's a failure. It was a failure. He's out for the year, and he totaled for a groundbreaking 0 sacks. The entire, what did he play, 9 games this year? All the talent in the world, man. Always gets hurt. Not always. This Titans team, I don't know what you want me to say, because we'll come out next week, we'll play Jacksonville, and we'll beat them 42-8. Henry will have 200 yards. Tannehill will throw for 350. And it's great. That's great. Titans win. And then next week we'll play Houston. We'll probably do it again. Then we'll play Detroit. The rest of the Titans schedule is a very, in quote, easy schedule. So we'll see what comes from that. Next game is Las Vegas and the Jets. Now we talk about a team that almost won. The Jets have almost won. Well, not counting the game against Miami. But the Jets have almost won 2 of their last 3 games. They should have beat New England, and they should have beat Las Vegas. Las Vegas is in a really weird phase right now where they're starting to tail off a little bit. And I hear a lot of people say that Las Vegas is tails off towards the second half of the season. Derek Carr had 381 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Darren Waller has to be put in one of the best tight ends in the league conversation. I don't think he gets enough credit. 13 receptions, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the Jets side of things, a typical Sam Darnold stat line, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Johnson, 104 yards on the ground, and a touchdown. Jamison Crowder, 47 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 31-28, Vegas beats the Jets. The Jets were closing in on what could have been their first win of the season. They're now 0-12. They fired Greg Williams this morning. And we wake up another Monday morning with Adam Gase still as the head coach. And he will be the head coach for the rest of the year because at this point, like I mentioned, there's no point in taking Adam Gase and not having him be your head coach because you're already 0-12, so firing him does absolutely nothing. And he will probably be back next year. I don't know any coach that comes back after a team goes potentially 0-16. Now, some people will say, oh, the Jets have a chance to win a game. I would say that, but the Jets have had 2 chances to win games, and they lost both of them. But one thing that's good about New York right now, well, depending on what part of New York you're talking about and what sport it is you're talking about, one part of New York that's good right now is the Giants. The Giants have started to play this level of football that we haven't seen. The team started off, I'm pretty sure, whether were they 0-6? They're now 5-7. The Giants' defense is quickly becoming one of the league's best defenses now. Obviously, it's not the best. They shut Seattle down yesterday. They didn't shut them down completely. Well, they pretty much. Now, Daniel Jones wasn't starting this game. Colt McCoy was in. Colt McCoy's an average quarterback. You don't expect much from him, and he didn't give much. 105 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Gallman, however, has been pretty decent as the backup, obviously with Barkley's season-ending injury, 135 yards. Wilson, 263 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Seattle, its stock is going like this. They started off like this, and now it's going like this. Metcalf, one of the best receivers, 5 receptions, 80 yards. This Giants defense is really coming along, and it's winning them these games. Their offense isn't terrible. It wasn't great yesterday. 17-12, the Giants beat Seattle. That's a statement. That's a statement. Will the Giants win the Super Bowl? No. Will the Giants get to the Super Bowl? No. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. They're going to win this division. If the Giants finish 9-7, oh man. They beat Seattle. Now Seattle, again, is inconsistent. We get that, but no Daniel Jones either. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I will say that the Giants are playing a lot better, and they'll take the Jets any day of the week, I'll tell you that. NFC South matchup, New Orleans and Atlanta. Another game without Drew Brees. Didn't seem to be much of a problem for New Orleans because they're such a good team outside of Drew Brees. Taysom Hill, 232 yards and 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 88 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And Michael Thomas, 9 receptions, 105 yards. On the Atlanta side of things, we get Matt Ryan, 273 yards and a touchdown. And Calvin Ridley, 5 receptions, 108 yards. 21-16, New Orleans beats Atlanta. New Orleans seems to be doing fine without Drew Brees. Taysom Hill is probably, honest to God, should be their quarterback for the rest of Drew Brees' absence. Because I don't trust Jameis Winston. I don't think he's as I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the world because a lot of times he gets shit shamed for that. But to sit here and say that he would fare better than Taysom Hill, I disagree. Taysom Hill is not a franchise quarterback for any team. But he's not playing awful. The Saints are winning. And that's the same thing that happened last year when we had Bridgewater taking over for Drew Brees when he was hurt again. The Saints team is just great all around. I just worry about what they do in the playoffs because I know each year in the playoffs, New Orleans has bad luck. But its luck can only go so far. Detroit and Chicago got this game wrong. Give Chicago too much credit. It's crazy. Chicago started off 5-1 and everybody was worshiping them. Oh, this defense is so great, but their offense sucks. They can't score. They have no quarterback. Their running back is mediocre. They don't have anything. Chicago has nothing to offer. Because that's how it comes off. Stafford, 402 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Peterson, don't even know how he's still running. Don't even know how he can still walk after this many years as running back. 57 yards and 2 TDs. Marvin Jones Jr., 8 receptions, 116 yards, and a touchdown. We get to the Chicago side of things. Trubisky, 267 yards and a touchdown. And Montgomery, 72 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. 34-30, Detroit beats Chicago. Neither of these two teams are going absolutely anywhere. Detroit is so inconsistent. Chicago sucks. Chicago can't score the football. I don't care if their defense is somewhat decent. They can't score. And that's what puts them in this situation. Detroit, on the other hand, is very inconsistent. You get a good game, you get a bad game. As far as their offense goes, it's not the worst in the world. Their defense is not that great either. Matthew Stafford shows you how valuable he is to a team like Detroit because they were absolutely miserable without him last year. This was one of those games when I said, what the hell happened this week? This is another one of them. Miami, 19-7 is the type of score you expect from a game that's not interesting. I didn't watch this game. Didn't really look at it too much. I will say this. Brandon Allen was in. The Cincinnati without Joe Burrow is miserable. The team was still losing with Joe Burrow, but I will say this. Joe Burrow is the franchise answer for Cincinnati. He's got a lot of talent, and this Cincinnati team looked a hell of a lot better because they really need Joe Burrow. Brandon Allen was his substitute, 3 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Tua, on the other hand, good game, 296 yards, a touchdown. Gaskins ran the ball well, 90 yards, and Gesicki, 9 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Miami gets the win 19-7. Again, Miami, it's growing pains. This team has a very good defense, but I think that what's important for them is to make the playoffs, get the experience, because they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. And they might win a game in the playoffs, but I don't think it's growing pains. That's what it is. And as far as everything else goes, like I said, Cincinnati, they're lost without Joe Burrow. And it's crazy because Cincinnati wasn't that good with Joe Burrow, but they were a lot better as a team. Now, they may have been losing games, but they looked a lot better. I will say that. Minnesota and Jacksonville, 2 teams that have nothing to offer, but they have a lot of talent on each side. Mike Glennon was obviously quarterbacking for Jacksonville while Minshew's absence. 280 yards, a touchdown, but 2 picks. Cousins, 305 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Cook ran the ball well, 120 yards. Jefferson, 9 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. A rookie wide receiver that does not get enough credit. 27-24, Minnesota gets the win in overtime. You don't want to be the team at this point in the year that lost to Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's only win was against the Colts earlier in the year. Jacksonville's just as bad as the Jets. Well, actually, no. I think if Jacksonville played the Jets, I think Jacksonville would beat the Jets. I think Jacksonville's 1-11, and you're not 1-11 on accident. But I think that Jacksonville is a lot worse, or not. I don't know how I would put it into words. But Minnesota gets the win, 27-24. That's that. AFC South matchup: Indianapolis and Houston. Phillip Rivers, 285 yards and 2 TDs. Jonathan Taylor, 91 yards on the ground. T.Y. Hilton, 8 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. The Colts win 26-20. The Houston has played better in recent weeks. We will say that, and we will leave it right there because they're not doing anything. Watson, 341 yards and an interception. Johnson, 44 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And Keiti Cutie, 80 80 receptions. Shit, could you imagine? 8 receptions, 141 yards on the ground. 26-20, the Colts get the win as they continue to go neck and neck with the Titans for a division win in the AFC South. The one game on this schedule on default that you could have looked forward to, which in all reality was a good game, I didn't watch it, was the Rams and the Cardinals. Jared Goff had 351 yards and a touchdown. Robert Woods, 10 receptions and 85 yards. Kyler Murray, a little bit of everything. 173 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Kenyon Drake, 49 yards and a touchdown. And Arnold for the Cardinals, 2 receptions, 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. 38-28, Rams get the win. I really do think that at this stage, I think the Rams are going to win the NFC West. I said going into the year that we didn't know what we were going to get from the Rams, and that's been clearly evident. They've been playing good. That defense is really good. That offense is stepping up when it needs to. And that's where we're at right now with the Rams. I do think the Rams at this stage are going to win the NFC West. I think San Francisco has nothing to offer. Seattle is trending downwards. And then, of course, who's the other team in the NFC West? The Cardinals are good, but they've kind of cooled down a little bit as well. Green Bay and Philly, what else is new? I'm not sure if Carson Wentz played at all or they benched him in this game. Regardless, Jalen Hurts had 109 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Nothing important. Rodgers had 295 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Aaron Jones, 130 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Adams, 10 receptions, 121 yards, and 2 TDs. Green Bay rips through Philly 30-16. Philly versus Dallas. You tell me which team is worse. And I will probably agree with you because both of them are terrible. I think at this stage, honest to God, I think Philly's the worst team in the division. I think Dallas would beat them in a one-on-one game. That's just what I think. They're both awful. What wasn't good yesterday was New England and LA Chargers. Cam Newton. Now, look at this stat sheet. You'll see that New England won the game 45-0, but you'll also notice that nothing else in this game besides special teams gave him that because Cam Newton had 69 yards and a touchdown. Nothing. Harris, 80 yards on the ground. And then the only stat line for the Chargers is Justin Herbert had 209 yards and 2 picks. New England's defense, how about it? Cam Newton, still struggling. Hasn't really had his footing since the beginning of the year for New England. And that's what puts us where we're at. Hello. How are you? Sunday Night Football, Kansas City and Denver. Drew Lock, 151 yards, 2 TDs and 2 picks. Gordon, 131 yards on the ground. Mahomes, 318 yards and a touchdown. Kels continues his dominance with 8 receptions, 136 yards and a touchdown. KC seals the win 22-16 in a close game. They clinch a playoff berth after beating the Denver Broncos. We have 3 games left this week. We have Pittsburgh and Washington tonight, 5 o'clock. Or this after evening, whatever you want to call it. Then we have Buffalo and San Francisco, the second Monday night game. And then we have Dallas and Baltimore tomorrow night. This has been your NFL Week 13 full review. Go nowhere else.